The Whole Earth catalog, was one of America's counterculture representative publications. It featured new products and knowledge, claiming to give its readers vision. Jobs was deeply influenced by it. In 1997, when he returned to Apple and just took the reins, Jobs commissioned an ad agency to create the Think Different campaign series. These ads didn't showcase any Apple products. Instead, they celebrated creative minds with intense idealistic passion. The cultural influences Jobs absorbed in his youth permeated every product he oversaw. Third, of course, Jobs' success stemmed not just from personal pursuit, but also from riding the wave of technological revolution. In 1965, when Jobs was 10, Gordon Moore of Intel proposed Moore's Law, predicting integrated circuit capability would double annually. By 1971, Intel created the microprocessor, laying foundation for personal computing era. When 20-year-old Jobs co-founded Apple with Wozniak, it coincided with the dawn of personal computers. A few years later might have meant missing the wave. In 1960, Jobs' family moved to Mountain View, California. Two pivotal things happened there 10 years later. First, this city and surrounding areas got a new name, Silicon Valley. Jobs discovered adults around him were working on cool stuff like solar power, photovoltaic cells, and radar systems. Second, high schooler Jobs met Wozniak, a more technically skilled homebody geek. Both loved electronics and pranks, quickly becoming inseparable partners. But Wozniak was more introverted and tech-obsessed. For him, technical implementation itself brought pure joy. Jobs was completely different, outgoing, passionate, debate-loving. Their contrasting personalities created natural roles. Woz built things, Jobs sold them. A perfect business partnership. Their first collaboration, a blue box that tricked phone systems into free long-distance calls. They first used it for pranks, like calling the Vatican, pretending to be the U.S. Secretary of State, demanding to speak with the Pope. Oh, Then Jobs decided to commercialize the blue boxes, going door to door in dormitories, selling them for $150 each, eventually moving 100 units. Jobs later reflected, Woz and I learned about collaboration through this. We gained confidence that we could solve technical problems and actually put inventions into production. Without the blue boxes, there would have been no Apple. In 1975, a company called MITS created the Altair 880 microcomputer. Though this company and its product faded into obscurity, it directly inspired two legendary companies: Microsoft, founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, and Apple. Gates and Allen made their first fortune developing BASIC for this computer, while Wozniak's design of Apple I was inspired by the 88. Wozniak wanted to give away his designs for free, but Jobs convinced him to produce commercial units. Jobs then pitched to a local electronics store owner. They landed a 50-unit order, assembling computers in Jobs' garage with friends and family. Their first $25,000 deal became Apple's founding story. In 1976, Jobs and Wozniak officially incorporated Apple Computer Company. Jobs had been working at an apple orchard around the time of incorporation. Fresh from pruning apple trees when filing paperwork, he proposed Apple as the company name. He believed Apple made computers seem friendlier and more approachable. Plus, starting with A would list them earlier in phone directories. Truth be told, the name came from spontaneous inspiration. Jobs didn't overthink it. In 1977, Wozniak completed the Apple II circuit design, while Jobs oversaw power supply and sleek casing, creating an affordable yet powerful computer. The Apple II became wildly successful, selling 6 million units total. At its peak, it captured 36% of PC market share, the first truly mainstream personal computer. Apple Computer skyrocketed to fame with this product. When Apple went public in 1980, Wall Street bankers scrambled to buy shares, setting the biggest IPO record since Ford's 1956 listing. By December that year, Jobs' net worth had soared to $256 million. At just 25, Jobs became the youngest self-made millionaire thanks to Apple's meteoric rise. But to Apple's boardroom tone, Jobs wasn't a mature executive, just a West Coast hippie kid. Jobs' poor hygiene became legendary. One investor bluntly called him a subhuman freak for going days without showering. Major investor Mike Markkula complained, "We either had to stare at his dirty feet during meetings or send him out to wash." The bigger issue was Jobs' controlling nature. Even easygoing Wozniak found it unbearable. During Apple II development, Wozniak had explosive fights with Jobs over design choices. Though remaining friends, Woz never worked on another Jobs-led project after this. Post Apple II, Jobs grew overconfident in his technical judgments, ignoring practical needs. The result, from 1977 to 1984, Apple failed to produce another hit product. The Apple III was a disaster. Its fanless design caused melted discs and 20% failure rates. The Lisa project descended into chaos. Jobs got kicked off the Lisa team after just 9 months. Furious Jobs assembled a renegade pirate team in separate buildings to develop the Macintosh. This ragtag group coalesced through Jobs' relentless drive, believing they were making history. Despite 90-hour workweeks and Jobs' frequent outbursts belittling efforts, many Mac team members considered working with Jobs the ultimate privilege. This brings us to Jobs' famous reality distortion field. The concept originates from Star Trek sci-fi technology. In the show, aliens manipulate reality through psychic power. The Mac team soon realized Jobs possessed similar abilities, a software engineer explained. With him present, he could make anyone believe almost anything. Others described being inexplicably convinced by his wildest ideas during conversations. Jobs wielded this uncanny psychological power. To him, reality was malleable clay to reshape. He'd declare, "We can develop better products faster. Our product will change the world." This wasn't deception. He genuinely believed. But when someone truly believes and acts accordingly, others catch that conviction. Maybe he's right. Maybe we can change the world. Jobs' intuition could pierce through defenses to exploit people's vulnerabilities. When recruiting Pepsi's John Scully, "Do you want to sell sugar water your whole life or change the world?" That single question made Scully join Apple. Reflecting later, Scully admitted, Jobs knew exactly how to read people and win their hearts. Just this less than 50-person team, despite fewer resources than IBM or Xerox, created era-defining technology. The Macintosh pioneered graphical OS for personal computers, 5 years before Windows 1.0. Yet, Mac repeated Apple III, Lisa's flaw, design divorced from practical needs. To control costs, Macintosh used low-end hardware, but its graphical system consumed excessive memory, resulting in poor performance. The Mac's sealed design prevented user upgrades. Even opening the case required special tools. Jobs removed arrow keys to force mouse adoption, pressing developers to create Mac-specific software, resulting in limited software selection even a year after launch. Sales disappointed. By late 1984, monthly units sold reached only 10,000 to 10% of projections. Mac's market failure eroded the board's patience with Jobs. In 1986, the board proposed moving Jobs to a R&D role. While stripping his operational power, Jobs refused and secretly plotted to oust CEO Scully, the board's final straw. All substantive authority was stripped from Jobs. September 1986, Jobs announced his resignation at a board meeting, departing the company he co-founded. While Mac's failure could be blamed on marketing and resource constraints, Jobs' subjective decision-making equally contributed. We must acknowledge Jobs' excessive self-assurance in market self-assessment. Yet, 20 years later, a matured Jobs would return to lead Apple's renaissance. This concludes our first episode. The second half, covering Jobs' return, will follow.